This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com.
And this is James Evan Pilato of MediaMonarchy.com, and we welcome you to another episode of New World Next Week, which of course you can find on NewWorldNextWeek.com. And as always, a huge thanks to ParadigmShift.tv for helping spread the word about this show. So, James, needless to say, this is going to be a very packed episode, and I want to begin by actually commending you for suggesting and having us cover the story back on our April 7th episode. So less than a month ago, folks may recall we covered Get Osama, as we noted the rise in chatter about this old CIA asset. So I also want to commend you for all your great work in the past week and your appearances on Russia Today and Alex Jones, breaking down this psychological operation, comparing it quite correctly, I think, to another kind of Jerry Bruckheimer production, the co-creator of the Jessica Lynch lie. So as we hinted last week, this is a time for dramatic events as we have the occult holidays of Beltane and Walpurgis and the royal rituals of the inbred eugenics-obsessed elite and the exhumation of a cult leader who helped cover up worldwide child abuse. But even if you don't want to pay attention to the occult angles, there's more than enough exoteric information to still, I think, help kind of bust through and break through our collective amnesia. And I would say that, one, we noted last week that Robert Gates of Operation Cyclone infamy has retired, as basically his life's work is complete. The funding and training of the Mujahideen to give the Soviets their Vietnam, as envisioned and written about by Zbigniew Brzezinski, who also funded and trained a young man out of Columbia University and is now the foreign policy advisor to that man, commonly referred to as Barack Obama. And number two to, I think, remember is that in the days after 9/11, the bin Laden family were allowed to fly out of this country while the rest of us were not. So, James, officially now let me get into our first story that I think hopefully brings us up to date and up to speed. President Obama to meet 9/11 families and lay wreath at Ground Zero on Thursday. From the Columbia Broadcasting System, President Barack Obama was finalizing plans to visit Ground Zero on Thursday, where he'll meet with a small, hand-picked group of September 11 families at the site. Obama will also meet with first responders and participate in a wreath-laying ceremony at Ground Zero. Kurt Horning of Scotch Plains, New Jersey, is among those that received an invitation to meet with Obama. Horning said he intends to tell the president that bin Laden got a better burial than many 9/11 victims. He was washed and wrapped and buried at sea after prayers were read, and thousands of people from the World Trade Center are in a garbage dump in Staten Island, Horning, who lost his son in the attack, said. Horning is also the co-founder of WTC Families for Proper Burial. Mr. Obama will not be joined by his predecessor, President George W. Bush, who declined an invitation and has kept out of the spotlight. Flag-waving crowds had gathered in Lower Manhattan after the president announced bin Laden's death late Sunday night. The observance will unfold against the backdrop of a new, revised narrative of how the U.S. Navy SEALs killed the world's most wanted terrorist, who officials now say was unharmed at the time. And the latest I have for you folks, as of 3 p.m. Pacific time, May 4th here in the States, no, they're not releasing any evidence, audio or video or photo, just as there was no evidence shown that Osama was responsible for the spectacular false flag terror event known as 9/11 in the first place. And remember that 9/11 was never on Osama's FBI Most Wanted poster. So that means, James, they're continuing apace the destruction of habeas corpus, or you may have the body, and or they're not releasing it because they don't have any evidence. If they did, they would be shouting it from the rooftops, disregard the nonsense about disturbing photos, as if our misleaders ever hesitated to traumatize the public. James.
Well, so few people were buying this as it was with the whole burial at sea story, and